So when a company messages me and asks me to check out their brand new RAM sticks that are RGB first of all, but they're 6800 XMP, but they promised me a 8200 megahertz overclock, I'm intrigued and I want to see, is this true? And what can I really get out of these? Hey guys, what's going on? It's Chamber here, and today we will be testing out Gigabyte's brand new 6800 megahertz 2x16 RGB DDR5 kit. This is Hynix 8i, the best RAM that you can buy as of today. It hits really high frequencies. It's what you're seeing every time you're seeing very high frequency RAM kits. It's the go-to. And honestly, I wasn't really going to say yes to these until they told me that they had people overclocking these to 8200. And I'm a little skeptical. Just because Gigabyte did send these out to me for free, asking me to make a video, I'm still going to say what I want. If I can't get 8200 megahertz out of these, I'm going to kind of talk about why and talk about what I can get out of these. Before we get into any testing or anything, I will say I am very happy with some of the quality and some of the things done on these. For example, these do have thermal pads on the ICs as expected. You need thermal pads on the actual ICs, the DRAM itself. But then also, if this can be seen, yes, there is one on the PMIC as well. This is what really needs to be cooled. This is something like G-Skill has a really bad issue of. Literally causes so many issues. So today we will be testing with like the gamer bro benchmarks. We're going to be running IDA 64 for memory, just to see what kind of performance we're getting off memory. And then we're also going to be using Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3, COD Bro benchmark. We got to see what those can get. And also, I don't think that I really need to do a full benchmark suite for this video. So here's how we're going to be testing it. We're going to be using my current 48 gigabyte kit of RAM running at 7600 CL36. See how that performs. Next up, we will be doing XMP. We're going to be installing the 32 gigabyte kit using XMP. Then we're going to be doing their 8200 based off a guide that I was sent. Then we're going to be doing my max overclock, depending on if that is stable or not, which has me really, really interested. So let's get right into it. Okay, let's start off with IDA 64 memory benchmark. This is also like fully Carhu VST. Whatever kind of RAM stress test that you want to run, this will be fully stable in. This is like my daily overclock, so I'm not going to run something like unstable just for my overclocks, because for me, stability is much more important, especially in gaming, just because of those lows improvement that you get. So let's come back when this is done, and then we'll take a look. Also, forgot to mention 1300K, 5.7 on the P cores, 4.4 on the E cores, 4.9 in the ring for all of these tests with hyperthreading disabled on my Tachyon with F7. I don't think it's the latest BIOS anymore, but when I got my 14900K and tested it, this was the latest BIOS. I forgot to actually show you the IDA one, but here it is. So 121 gigabytes on the read, 116 on the write, copy 115, latency 55 nanoseconds. You want to try and get these so copy as high as possible, latency as low as possible. That is what you're really looking for. 2x16 should typically have lower latency just because you can run tighter timing such as TRFC. Now let's go into Call of Duty for this, then install the 32 gigabyte kit. All right, Call of Duty benchmark has been done. 355 average. I'm not as worried about the average FPS as I am with these lows. 305 and 282 is very, very good. I think that is insanely good low FPS. One thing I will say though, take a look at this server latency. If this goes lower over time, that might have a effect on average FPS. So I will actually be tracking the server latency, just because it was proven that server latency does actually have an effect on FPS, especially in this benchmark. Probably not in like the real game. But now, let's get the RAM kit installed. The Gigabyte sticks are installed, and they do actually look very good, but let's turn on the PC first and just see how it looks with the RAM. Obviously, I do have the RAM fan too that I will put on, but let's just take a look at the RGB first. Actually, okay. I was talking in my Discord, which you definitely should join, but I definitely do think these might be one of the better looking kits of RGB RAM right now. Like, they just look so good. And I do like the diffusers. These are definitely better than any RGB DDR5 kit I've had. Like I've looked at, especially the big ones. Definitely will leave a link down below to check these out. Also, like, look, with all like, yeah. Let me put the RAM fan back on, then we'll get to tuning it. Here we are in BIOS running the XMP profile 6800 megahertz 34, 45, 45, 108 at 1.4 volts. very good XMP. So let's just hit F10 and enter. I had to reset all my old BIOS settings. That's why it's doing this. So yes, CPU is running the exact same now. Running IDA64 now. One thing I did do was I did run Karhu for about 10 minutes just to see, first of all, what temps are looking like, and second of all, is it just stable out of the box? Yes, it is stable. First of all, as you can see, that read is already significantly lower than my overclocked, which is to be expected. So what I'm going to say is these temperatures are about 42, 43, which is actually pretty good for 1.4 with the heat spreaders on. Very impressed by that. Like, very good job, KingBank, on that. We will see, obviously, how the temperatures do as the overclocks go higher. As you might be able to see, I do have this RAM fan here. This is like an AliExpress RAM fan. But I have a T30 blowing straight down on it as well. Just trying to get as much airflow out of it. That really did help. But let's look at IDA64 results as they come back. IDA64 is done. 103 gigabytes on the read, 87 gigs on the write, 92 on the copy, and 63.9 nanoseconds on the latency. You will notice a difference between these two. Like, this is a significant difference that you will notice in game, but let's see how much really is the difference in COD. Here we have Call of Duty. Now, I'm going to modify what I'm looking at, so we're not going to look at these averages anymore. We're looking at the CPU. So here we have 2x24. We were at 490, 368, and 326. Now we are at 460, 346, and 305. So we're losing about 20 FPS in the lows and 30 FPS in the averages just by changing our RAM speed. Obviously, we are losing RAM speed. That's actually not the amount. Because like we're only using a total of 9 gigabytes. So that's not actually what we're really worried about. But as you can see, losing that amount of speed has significantly changed that. Let's see now what we can do just by the auto OC of Gigabyte. That is a feature in their BIOS, and something I'm very interested in. Back into BIOS, I'm not going to change any frequency or XMP setting. The only two settings I changed on my Gigabyte board, the Tachyon, is high bandwidth. I set that to enabled, and low latency as well. I really just want to see, can this actually have a performance boost? And if so, what kind? I do remember when I ran my 48 gigabyte sticks, I actually had these enabled like a while ago when I had 2x32 in my PC still. Enabling these caused me to not boot. So if you're on 48 gigabyte, would kind of stay away from it. But on 2x16, this should be perfectly fine. And let's see if it's worth it at all. Here we have it, XMP with low latency and high bandwidth enabled. And as you see, you actually are getting a pretty good boost. You're getting about 5 gigabytes in read. You're getting a lot in the write, going from like 87 gigabytes to 103. Not as much, you're getting about 7 gigabytes in the copy, but just this going up at all with no actual tuning. Same stability, same Karhu test passed. And about how much latency reduction? You get about 4-ish nanoseconds. So going from 63 to 59. This is an improvement, but let's see how it does in COD. Call of Duty is really surprising me. So this is about 5 FPS away in the lows for both of them compared to my 2x24 result, about 10 FPS away on the averages. But one thing you'll notice here, so there's these results too, pretty similar. The latency is about 7 milliseconds lower, probably causing some sort of FPS boost there in this benchmark. But now that we've done this, let's see how 8200 megahertz with KingBank's guide that I will show you now, how that performs. Let's take a look at the actual guide or review that KingBank did send me to look at before I actually looked at their RAM 6. Now it just starts off with some review. I believe this is some guy who lives in China, because this is a translated article. He does tell you some very important things, such as, hey, look, this is 8i, cool, 2mm metal heat sink, cool. Obviously, we did talk about earlier, it does have the thermal pads, which is something I'm really, really happy about. Does allow it to be cooler. Talks about his test platform. You do see that 4DIMM. Obviously, one thing that would really help benefit him is a 1400K. The 1400K I had was actually a lot better than the 1300K I currently have in an IMC. Same RAM, but he has a 4DIMM. So the 4DIMM is not going to be able to overclock as well at all. And one thing I believe where he talks about that I do like, 10-layer PCB is going to help a little bit with just better overclocking. The higher the PCB, typically the better it is. Hynix 8i, perfect. It talks about 7200 and beyond. That's going to come in handy later in this video. But we'll see if we can go to 8000 plus. So he's saying most modules can do actually more stable. This modules can actually do more and stable between 7400 and 7800. That is true for 8i. And then here are his results. Let's see if I can load this up a little bit bigger. Sorry if this is a little blurry. He's running 8200, 38, 49, 49, 58 with no mention of a stress test. Also, these numbers, I've gotten significantly better numbers on lower frequency and tighter timing just because of tighter timings, and my guess is that he also was not tuning subtimings. Most overclockers don't. This is a gaming focused kind of video I'm talking about. These are impressive, pretty read write and copy numbers. That latency isn't though. It definitely can be lowered. And for the price, like, hey, 1600 megahertz kit going to 8000, cool. But now we'll see how well this really works for me. And if what I can achieve based off of this guy and see what I can do. After spending way too much time trying to get 8200 even to work at all, it didn't work at all. I got 8000, CL36, 46, 46, 46. This does work. This is actually like based off like an XMP boost that Gigabyte does. This kind of, so I didn't care about frequency as much. About like timings as much. Just cared about frequency, kind of going off what KingBank sent me. And these are my results. So I got 119 gigabytes on read, 97 gigs on write, and 105 on copy. So this is a boost in the copy based off my XMP boosted one, and a significant boost on the read, as well as latency being from 59 nanoseconds to 57.8. So that is a big deal, but let's see how this performs in games. No matter what I did, I could not get Call of Duty to pass the benchmark, which proves one thing. This is not stable and not something I can recommend for daily. Now we're going to see what I could do with a true overclock that I deem stable and what I recommend. Editing this video and just realized I never showed my own IDA results, so here we go. 124 gigabytes in the read, 119 gigabytes on the write, 118 on the copy, and 53.7 on latency. This latency is the absolute lowest that I have seen, especially in any of these results here. These are some of the best copy and write and reads. Are they as good as like the ones that they showed? No, but the latency is significantly better, which really makes me believe that latency is something that matters a lot more than the bandwidth. We have so much bandwidth here, but latency is still very important. Now let's see, this is what COD looks like. Even though you can see it right here. Yeah, whatever. And there we have it, Call of Duty results. These are the highest results I've ever gotten in this benchmark, most likely because of the 200 megahertz boost from my 24 gigabyte kit and the significantly lower latency, about 2 to 3 nanoseconds. So 502 compared to the best score we got before this on this kit was 480. This is about 360 something. This is about 320. We were getting significant boost here. This is something that is a big deal. This does cause a GPU bottleneck. Okay, cool. I want a really, really fast CPU because most of the game I'm playing, especially if you're playing something like Warzone, you will notice that you need a fast CPU. That is what we have achieved here, thanks to KingBank. The timings that I used for this 7800 CL36 are in my Discord in the OC guide if you want to support me there. And there we have it. Here is my review of the KingBank brand new RGB DDR5 that includes Hynix 8i. I am very, very impressed with this kit. Yes, okay, cool. I couldn't hit 8200 megahertz. Is that a mix of my CPU's IMC, the motherboard? Yes, absolutely. I don't think they should be saying that you can get 8200 megahertz and be that as like a selling point, 100%. The XMP works really, really good. If you use like a boost kind of system for your motherboard, helps even more. But here is my best thing I'll recommend for most people. Overclock your memory as high as possible. That is really going to get a lot of boost, especially in the lows. Definitely something that I would recommend. I'm going to leave a link down below to these KingBank sticks. This is not the first time I've worked with KingBank. I actually worked on a previous kit of theirs that was Hynix 8i, and that was actually in my daily system for months until I went 2x24. Going back to 2x16, the kit they sent me will be the kit I am daily driving, if not the other kit, just depending on if I want RGB or not. Thank you very much, KingBank, for sending this out. Really did like this. If If you enjoyed this, hit the like button down below, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. Definitely check out King Bank though. Thank you so much for watching the video, and King Bank sending me out the RAM, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.